Hello there, everybody. Charles Hammaker here with Circling Seattle Sports. Obviously, as you can see, something a little bit different here. This is, I don't know if I announced this actually, but here it is. This is the first week of it. This is the pilot. This Mariners stickers coming off. I always try to keep the stickers on their side of the baseball hats. Anyway, this is going to be a new show that we do every week, just like Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media, just like Woof Wednesdays, which will be coming back. Futures follow-up for our CSS Futures account, obviously going over the minor league and semi-pro teams, whether it's the Kraken affiliates with the Coachella Valley Firebirds and the Kansas City Mavericks, the WHL teams around the area and the Everett Silvertips and the Seattle Thunderbirds, or whether that be the Tacoma Defiance, who are the Sounders affiliate, the Ballard FC, which is a USL League Two squad, or the Mariners affiliates, obviously, as you can see by my Mariners hat, with the Rainiers, the Travelers, the Modesto Nuts, and the Everett Aquasox. So going over that, and then I think what we'll do with the Kraken as well is go over their prospects. If you follow us on Circling Seattle Sports, you know us from every Monday. We've been better about it the last few weeks. We kind of fell off a little bit with how busy things have been. Our Kraken prospect check-in, where we do with usually the top 4 prospects over the past week in terms of point production. But like this week, we did 8 total just because of how well what amount of them did with David Goyette, Jacob Melanson, Shane Wright, Yager Furcus, Ty Cartier, trying to think. Barrett Hall was in there, USHL. So I'm going to try to do that as well. We'll try to work that in here. But I wanted to have a show that we can do weekly that wraps up everything, just like we do with Circling Seattle Sports on Converge. Just basically do the same things that we do with that show as we do with our minor league and semi-pro teams to give them that same coverage that we do outside of the postings on social media and the articles that we do. So there's more stuff that we'll continue to have planned, but this is the first continuing to elevate the CSS Futures account and that sort of coverage as well. So we're going to start here. We might move around the layout as well with how the teams go and such, but we're going to start with the Coachella Valley Firebirds, who use some bird punts, have been soaring high lately in the past 10 games or so after hitting a little bit of a snag a couple weeks ago. They played 3 games over the past week. March 15th versus the Iowa Wild, a 4-1 win. Our player of the game forward and captain, Max McCormick. Cap Max, 2 goals, 2 points, a 2+- and 4 shots against Iowa in that win. In the second game against those Wild, before I get ahead of myself, in that win on the 15th against Iowa, that win would actually clinch the Firebirds' playoff berth in the 2023 Calder Cup playoffs. So in their first year in the AHL, their first year playing, they got Acrisure Arena going up there months ago. Their first year here after last year, the AHL affiliate for the Kraken was Charlotte Checkers after they shared that affiliate with the Florida Panthers, I believe it was. Coachella Valley makes it, a bunch of talent on that roster up and down. I know a couple of them are up with the Kraken right now, even more so after today's news. But like Jesper Froden, John Hayden, Joey Cord, Chris Drieger, as you can see in the picture there, is down there with the Firebirds now. Ty Cartier has been solid. Max McCormick was an all-star. Riker Evans is someone I'm really excited about. Carson Tworinsky's been pretty solid as well. Luke Henman, the first ever signing in Kraken history over there in Coachella Valley. Even Chris Gibson, got to give Chris Gibson his props as another goaltender in that room. Obviously, with Chris Rieger coming in, it makes it a little bit tougher on him. They clinched that playoff berth that day. I mean, with Coachella Valley being effectively the second best team in the league, and they would be the top in their division, but the best team in the league and the first team in their division, the Calgary Wranglers, holds that spot. So, it was just a matter of time, effectively. But excited to see this. Coachella Valley has been firing hot. But before I talk more about that, we'll go into the rest of the games. March 17th versus the Iowa Wild, a 3-1 victory. Our play of the game, goaltender Joey Decord. Joey between the pipes, 36 saves and a .973 save percentage to keep Iowa low with that one goal, as the Firebirds were able to put up three and run support. See, I'm all over the place. It's a busy week for us. Goal support, I apologize, but they get that 2-game sweep over Iowa, and then March 19th versus the San Diego Gulls, who struggled this year, an 8-4 win. Our player of the game, the D-man, Brogan Rafferty, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, 5 shots, and 1 plus-minus. From that March 17th game, obviously that being St. Patrick's Day, wanted to show off these photos of the St. Patrick's Day jerseys worn in warm-ups by the Firebirds. Photo by Mike Zatek there, the team photographer for the Firebirds, and Captain Max McCormick wearing those off. I think that the green works pretty well with those. Honestly, the gold looks nice on the C, and the numbers there, it doesn't look like a tacky gold. I think they did a good job with those, honestly. Sometimes these promo jerseys, these theme jerseys don't go too well, but personally, I think the Firebirds did a good job with them. So that wraps up. So the Firebirds over their last 10 games, obviously they're on now with the 3 games that they won there, they're on a 4-game win streak. And under their last 10, they're 8-2. 8 wins, 2 losses, no overtime, no shootout losses. That's the best mark in the AHL. No team is better than 8-2. There are teams that are 7-2-1. Like Calgary is actually 7-2-1-0. But the Firebirds are 8-2-0-0 as of last night. I don't think any games were actually played yesterday. So I don't think any are played today either. So they will stay in that mark. And they're riding high. I mean, they obviously clinched that playoff berth. I don't believe they're going to catch up to Calgary in terms of if they wanted to secure a higher seed. I will check that out right now. But I mean, they hit that lull a little bit ago, and then they've found their stride again. Oops, wrong. Oh, no, they could keep. No, okay, they're only 2 points behind Calgary, actually, so that's very much a possibility. I mean, Calgary's on a 6-win, 0 loss, 0 overtime loss, 1 shootout loss record. Yeah, okay. But yeah, no team has a better in their past 10 than Coachella Valley. So it's very much possible that they can do that, with the season wrapping up here. I mean, the Firebirds are going to have some tough contests here coming up in terms of who their opponents are this week. If we're talking about if they can reach that immediately. But, I mean, with Coachella Valley posting a pretty decent power play at 8th in the league, we look at their PKs, it's 13th. It's all right. But, I mean, there's a lot of talent, like really solid AHL talent there. John, a few of those players are up with the Kraken right now, so that makes it a little bit tough, right? But they've been playing really solidly. We'll get to team notes here. March 15th, John Hayden was recalled from the Kraken with his photo here by Live Lions. In response, the Firebirds recalled forward Luke Stevens from the ECHL affiliate, the Kansas City Mavericks. And then today, March 20th, we can try to get this out today. I say today. We're going to try to get this out. Yes, today. This is when we're recording it. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh, yes. The Kraken recalled Joey Decord in an emergency capacity. So it's with that news we talked about on CSS on Converge, it's likely precaution with Philip Grubauer, who left the game against Edmonton on the 18th due to a non-COVID illness. It seems like that's obviously still bothering him, so they want to have Decord around. It also means that they're likely trying to continue to get Chris Drieger more time down in Coachella Valley, continue to build him up, continue to get him back up to strength. Otherwise, I figure we would have seen him back. But so that's how that's going. Yeah. So Froden, Hayden, and Decord are all up with the Kraken right now from Coachella Valley. So they're having a little bit of a fun boys trip in a way. So, but no, they've been, to go with a bird pun again, they've been flying really high, and they've been 8-2 in the last 10 games is pretty damn good, and they're in striking distance of getting that the top spot in the entire AHL. Wait, I could just be conference, but no, I think it is league. I was just there and I was sorting by league, so I'm pretty sure it's by, we go league point. Nope, yeah, they would be the best in the league. They already got a 4-point barrier over the third place team in Providence, the Providence Bruins. So yeah, they very much could overtake the AHL as a whole, depending on how Calgary does, obviously. So with that being said, we'll look at the upcoming games for Coachella Valley to see what possible opponents they would take on to potentially reach that top spot in the AHL. March 21st at the Texas Stars with a 5 p.m. start. And then March 22nd at the Texas Stars is a 5 p.m. start as well. So a back-to-back there against Texas, who the Firebirds played a few weeks ago. And then March 24th at the Henderson Silver Knights at 7 o'clock. And then they come back home to Acrisure Arena to play the Henderson Silver Knights on the 25th at 6 p.m. Sorry, phone's going off. I always got to make sure there's no news that's breaking. Oh, there might be news. Okay, yeah, that is news. Okay, well, we'll have to break that right now. And it fits actually into the Kraken affiliates here. So the Kraken signed Ville Otavainen to an entry-level contract. He was their 4th-round pick back in 2021. He's been playing in, I believe, Liga, in Finland's top league the last 3 seasons. So his entry-level contract, I believe, would start in 2025 to 26. It runs through that. Sorry. The ESC starts next season. Sorry. And then it runs through 2025 and 26. So Ville Otavainen. I believe I said that right. Please correct me in the comments, but please be kind if you do it. We all make mistakes. But yes, we'll continue with our Kraken-related news here with the Kansas City Mavericks, the Kraken's ECHL affiliate. The Mavericks played 2 games over the past week, both against the Wichita Thunder, March 17th versus the Wichita Thunder, a 5-2 win. Our player of the game forward, Nick Pastyav, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, a 2+- and 3 shots for Pastyav there. And then March 18th at the Wichita Thunder, a 3-1 loss, unfortunately. Our player of the game forward, Hugo Roy. I say it like that because the announcer for the Mavericks says it like that. Hugo, it doesn't sound like Roy, but it's spelled like Roy Kent. 1 goal, 1 point, and 2 shots. So tough one there, against Wichita. The Mavericks are in an interesting position. They continue to battle for a playoff spot. If we go to the ECHL standings here in terms of division, the Mavericks have actually fallen to 3rd place in their division. They were in 2nd, but the Allen Americans, I believe, who the Kraken were affiliated with last year, have overtaken them. They're tied for points, but the Americans have the tiebreaker here. It's a tight spot in the division that the Mavericks are in. They're in the Mountain Division, of the ECHL, and so the Idaho Steelheads are the top spot. They got 99 points. They're far and above everybody else. The Allen Americans and the Kansas City Mavericks both have 62 points. And then 4th and 5th place in the Utah Grizzlies and the Wichita Thunder both sit at 61 points. And even 6th place in the Rapid City Rush sit at 59 points. So it's a tight. So 6 through 2 is separated by 3 points overall in the standings here, which is it's a little bit of a problem. So the Mavericks are battling for their own spot here. They made a bunch of signings recently. So we'll get to that here in a second, but I want to go with St. Patrick's Day taking place. We'll go over the Mavericks St. Patrick's Day jerseys as well, as you can see here. It's kind of funny that I chose both captains for the photos of the St. Patrick's Day photos for the Kraken affiliates. So you can get a nice look at that. All righty, we'll go over to team notes here on the 16th. 16th through 18th, the team made a total of 4 deals in terms of player personnel. On the 16th, the team, the team had forward Luke Stevens recalled by the Coachella Valley Firebirds, like we mentioned in the Firebird segment. On the 16th, the team also signed forward Griff Jessica back to Kansas City and forward Casey Carew from Niagara University. On the 17th, the team signed defenseman Elias Rosen from Bemidji State to an amateur tryout deal. And then on the 18th, in a trade, the team acquired forward Matthew Foguet via trade with Orlando Solar Bears for defenseman Jay Powell. So over the last few weeks, Kansas City's made a bunch of different moves. And, it's not like the Mavericks have been a great team throughout. Since we've had CSS Futures, they've kind of been here and there. And to be fair, they've played some of the better teams in the ECHL. But interesting to see the moves that are being made by them and at the consistency that they've been at. If that makes sense, with the season coming to a close, it's going to be really tight here as we get closer and closer to the end of the ECHL season, which is pretty close, like a bunch of other leagues. But there's still a very real possibility, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight. So we look ahead. Oh, I didn't say the record for the Firebirds. I apologize. We'll say the record for the Mavericks. They sit at a 27 win, 25 loss, my apologies, 6 overtime loss, 2 shootout loss record, 3rd in their division and 7th in the conference. Looking ahead, they will play the Tulsa Oilers a total of 3 times over the next week, all back to back to back. March 24th and 25th will be at home. Those are both 5:05 p.m. starts against Tulsa. And then March 26th is at Tulsa with a 2:05 p.m. puck drop against the Oilers. Tulsa, it's been a tough one. As I mentioned, it's going to be really, really close here for the Mavericks. But, I mentioned it being a tough one, but the Oilers are actually at the bottom of the division at 46 points and 19 win, 32 loss, 7 overtime loss, and 1 shootout loss record. So could be a trap, but you play them for 3 games. So you have to probably win at least 2 of those. You probably want to win all 3 of them, considering how bad Tulsa's been. But we'll have to see about that. So we move over here to our Seattle Thunderbirds. We're going to continue to go hockey. We're going to do hockey, soccer, baseball, I believe is how we're going to do it. It might be hockey, baseball, soccer. We'll see. We're going to go with our Thunderbirds here, who, with the Firebirds have been great all season. Our Thunderbirds played 2 games over the past week. March 17th versus the Portland Winterhawks at home. We were at that game. A 5-2 win. Our player of the game forward, Dylan Gunther. Spicy Dill, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a 1+- and 2 shots. Gunther hit WHL points 200 and 201 with that game. I don't know why I thought I was going to say anything with that. Oh, no, I'm so silly. I totally forgot. We have the Thunderbirds St. Patrick's Day photos as well. I will grab those here for you from our photographer, Liz Wolter. That would just be a disservice to not have any of those. We'll get our guy, Brad Lambert, in there as we load this. But we'll go over, like we have with other ones, we'll go over the rest of the game first. March 18th at the Winterhawks. So the next day down in Portland, Seattle would win that one 4-2 to sweep the weekend. Our player of the game forward, Kyle Krinkovic, 2 goals, 2 points on 2 shots, including the one to effectively bury the game and the empty netter there, breaking Krinkovic's 6-game goal drought. Here is that photo of Brad Lambert in the St. Patrick's Day jerseys by our photographer, Liz Wolter. So, the Thunderbirds continue to roll. They've got an interesting stretch here to close out the season. I believe it's still in play that they could secure the top spot in the Western Conference. They just need, I think they still need a win, and they need the Kamloops Blazers to lose a game in regulation. That's how it was the other night when they beat Portland on the road, but Kamloops blew out Kelowna the other night, so it wasn't going to happen. I believe that's still in play. We're going to check here. Yeah, the WHL doesn't say anything otherwise, but we will check the standings here for the WHL. But yeah, it's between Kamloops and Seattle, and it's going to be a tough stretch here. I talked to Thunderbirds head coach Matt Odette after the game on the 17th. about this stretch here where Seattle will play after that win against Portland on the 18th. I believe it's 4 more games on the regular season schedule, and I think it's 2-2 now. Between Kamloops and Portland. They're playing Kamloops and Portland to finish out the season. Portland, has hit a little bit of a snag, but they might be finding themselves a little bit more after they hit that snag. And then Kamloops has been good all year long. So these are good tests, and they're teams that Seattle might face in the playoffs anyway. So we'll go by conference, make sure no news is dropping here. They're just confirming that Drew Lock signed his deal. Don't care. Okay. We go over here to the Western Conference. Seattle holds that top spot already by 107. So, yeah, Seattle sits at 107 points on the season. Kamloops sits at 100, but I don't think Seattle's actually locked up that top spot officially because that was posted the other day. But so that's very much possible, but they're not going to be easy games. I mean, the last time that Seattle played Kamloops, they lost. So it's Seattle lost, that is. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be just that. It's going to be interesting to finish out the season. We'll go to the schedule here and get the official dates. Yeah, so Seattle will play Kamloops once at home on the 21st. Well, we're going to go over that. But, yeah, 4 games. The next 2 against Kamloops, and then the final 2 against Portland. All within the span of a week. Yeah, so that's 4 games in 4 days. 5 days. So that's a lot. And, with some guys being banged up, there's a possibility that more guys can get banged up. So it's important that Seattle's able to stay healthy to finish out the regular season here. But we do have some coaching updates with some other hockey teams that we follow. We don't really get those injury updates very clearly, but we did get some. And I just talked to Coach Odette the other night. I asked him what he could give me. He said that Colton Dock is day-to-day, while forwards Jordan Gustafson, Grayson Sauchin, and Tijan Gilla are all week-to-week. Iginla. They're all week-to-week. He did say that he didn't anticipate that any of them would play this upcoming weekend, though. So it sounds like, with this grueling stretch of 4 games in 5 days, that Seattle's just going to not chance it with any of those guys. Gustafson was he was back from injury for a little stint. So is Doc. Sauchin's been out for a good amount of time. Same with Iginla. A little bit. It doesn't sound like they want to chance it with everybody, and they like to just get those 4 guys, say, hey, come back healthy with playoffs, and we'll deal with it then. So, yeah, that's what Doc's day-to-day. So there's that, if you want to take anything from that. So we will look at the record here. The Thunderbirds sit at a 52-win, 9-loss, 1 overtime loss, 2 shootout loss record. First in the division, first in the WHL's they do Western Conference, right? I apologize, folks. I got a comment a few weeks ago that I don't know what I'm talking about with the OHL. I never said I knew everything I talked about. I'm trying to get better here. Yeah, Western Conference. Okay. Wanted to make sure. As I mentioned, they finish out the regular season this week, March 21st, versus the Kamloops Blazers down in the ShoWare Center, 7:05 p.m. Pacific time start. Then the next day, March 22nd, at the Kamloops Blazers, a 7 p.m. start. They'll get that day in between. And then March 24th at the Portland Winterhawks is a 7 o'clock start. And then March 25th versus the Portland Winterhawks, a 6:05 p.m. start time. We move over here to Seattle's rival, the Everett Silvertips here, who Silvertips a little banged up. They're a little bit, banged up. They already have secured their playoff spot, but and they already know their playoff opponent now that we'll get to in a little bit. But they're a little bit banged up. They've had to call up some associate players and sign them to contracts. But they're a little bit banged up. So we look over here to their schedule. March 17th at the Vancouver Giants, a shutout loss. As you know, with shutouts, we don't do a player of the game, typically. March 18th versus the Vancouver Giants, though, back at home in Everett. They would win that one 4-1. Our player of the game, D-Man Aiden Sutter. Sutter, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a 2+- and 5 shots on the day in the same game. Teammate Jackson Brzezowski recorded career assist number 100. So congratulations, Barry, there. And then March 19th at the Spokane Chiefs, a tough one. Everett was down going into the final period. They fought back, but they couldn't complete the comeback, losing that one to Spokane 3-2. Our player of the game forward, Jackson Brzezowski, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, 1 plus-minus, and 7 shots. Tough one. Again, I talk about the injuries to Everett, and so often they'll put up their lineup and they're missing forwards, and it's like, man, I don't. It was a few weeks ago, I believe they were missing. Oh boy, they were missing a bunch of forwards. There was a few weeks ago they were missing a D-man, but there's a bunch of Mariners news going on right now, guys. Can we not do all this right now while we're doing stuff? I apologize. I want to make sure nothing's going on that I'm missing, but so. Everett might be limping into the playoffs, and they're going to do so against the Winterhawks. Yes, they will face the Portland Winterhawks in round 1 of the playoffs. It's the 7th all-time meeting between the two clubs in the playoffs. So the schedule looks like this: March 31st at Portland, 7 o'clock; April 1st at Portland, 6 o'clock; April 3rd versus Portland here in Everett at 7:05, and then April 7th versus Portland, 7:05. Those are all scheduled games that will happen, and everything else is if needs to take place sort of basis. In terms of other team-related news, on the 17th, the team, as I mentioned, called up affiliate player Lucas Kaplan from NAX Hockey, and he has played in the past few games. This photo by team photographer Kristen. I gotta make sure I get that right. Oh boy, this is more Mariners news. Kelnick left the game with Jared Kelnick left the Mariners spring training game today with leg tightness. Ooh, everybody was worried he got traded. You guys shut up. You guys scare me. Okay, sorry, had to get that out of the way. Everybody freaks out about everything nowadays. Yes, sorry, had to get that out of the way. That was a big. Tom Murphy was dealing with left forearm tightness. Why am I telling you guys? We have a show to go. But yeah, so Kaplan's played the last few games, as I mentioned. Silvertips are dealing with injuries. It's going to be a close one as they enter the playoffs here. I know some of my Thunderbirds friends will probably leave creative comments about that, but we do both. So the Silvertips record sits at a 32 win, 31 loss, 2 overtime loss, 1 shootout loss record. They're 4th in their division and 6th in the conference. Are the next few games they will play to wrap up the season: March 24th versus the Victoria Royals at home, the last home game of the season, a 7:05 p.m. start, and then March 25th at the Victoria Royals, a 6:05 p.m. start. So that will close out the Silvertips season. Just 2 games left for them. We head over here to our baseball teams. Okay, yeah, these baseball teams. Our baseball teams don't have a ton going on except for the players that are in spring training that are being optioned to their respective affiliates. So the Rainiers had 4 players total optioned back to them. March 12th, the Mariners optioned right-handed pitcher Easton McGee to the Rainiers. March 13th, the team optioned left-handed pitcher Brennan Bernardino to the Rainiers. March 14th, the team optioned first baseman Evan White to the Rainiers, as you can see pictured here, Evan White. And then March 19th, the team optioned left-handed pitcher Taylor Saucedo to the Rainiers. Saucedo actually played, I believe it was a year with the Tacoma Taylor, I believe it's Tacoma Community College. See if I can figure this out. Oh, wait. Yes, sorry. I know where to look for it. Here he goes. Tacoma High School. There, Tacoma High School, and pitched his freshman year at Tacoma CC. Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry. Wanted to make sure I got that right. So that's what we've got in Rainiers related news. The Arkansas Travelers, the Mariners AA affiliate, had 2 players optioned to them. On the 12th, the team optioned right-handed pitcher Juan Then to the Travelers. And then on the 14th, the team optioned right-handed pitcher Prelander Baroa to the Travelers, someone who really impressed in some of his outings this spring training. So maybe he'll work his way up through the system this year. We don't have anything for the Modesto Nuts. And for the Everett Aquasox, we've got something different. We don't have anybody that was optioned to the Aquasox, but on the 17th, the Aquasox announced they will play an exhibition game against the Everett Community College Trojans on April 5th versus 7:05 p.m. Pacific. We're going to try to have a photographer out for that game, just to get some excitement going with our Aquasox and continue that CSS Futures content for you. That wraps it up for our Mariners affiliates. We go over here to the Tacoma Defiance, who they didn't do anything outside of announcing their schedule, which has some rule-related changes that we have to go over. So we'll put the schedule here on the board for you, which starts here on the 26th against St. Louis City. St. Louis City. I want to say that's right. Louis City SC2, pardon me. The first home game isn't until April 2nd. I'll let you look at that while we go over some of the notable news here when it comes to that. So MLS Next Pro has 27 teams play 28 matches over the course of 6 months. The Defiance will play 14 home games at Starfire Stadium. St. Louis City 2. This will be streaming. That game will be streaming on Apple TV. Great. And the home opener is against Real Monarchs on April 2nd. The majority of these regular season matches are going to be on MLS live and on demand on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. The remainder of those regular season matches will stream on MLSNextPro.com. Let's see here. Ticket information, don't care. So with the addition of new clubs, LA Galaxy 2 and Los Angeles FC2 to Tacoma's Pacific Division, the club will play 4 additional matches compared to last year's campaign. I want to see where we can get the playoff news. Okay, here they go. The 2023 season featured an expanded postseason format that includes a pick your opponent element in the first 2 rounds. Within each conference, the 2 division champions and the 5 clubs with the next highest point total, 7 clubs total, advance to the MLS Next Pro playoffs. The playoffs consist of 3 rounds followed by the MLS Next Pro Cup, taking place over 4 consecutive weeks beginning the week of September 29th. The club with the most regular season points in each conference earns a first-round bye, automatically advancing to the conference semifinals. The second and third seeded teams in each conference choose their opponents and host their match in the conference quarterfinals. Those 2 remaining teams that are not selected play each other with the higher seed hosting. In the conference semifinals, the top-seeded team chooses its opponent from the remaining 2 lowest-seeded teams and hosts the match. In the conference finals and MLS Next Pro Cup, the team with the most regular season points hosts. So it sounds like from the quarterfinals to the semis, it's that pick your own opponent, and then conference finals on this Pro Cup. It's obviously the same thing. No, not the same thing. The standard highest seed there. That's a little bit interesting. I don't know if I've heard of that before, where you can pick your opponent in the playoffs. But the Defiance should have some exciting players this year. I know, at least locally, Gio Miglietti, somebody that we've interviewed on Circling Seattle Sports, a friend of ours, will be on the Defiance. We'll obviously see some of that young Sounders talent that might not always break through to the first team get there. I believe draft picks. The draft picks will be there. So that'll be important to see that Defiance team down at Starfire this year. Perhaps one of the teams I'm most excited to cover this upcoming year, Ballard FC. Nothing scheduled. The schedule's been out. But in terms of, we've got a fan-related element and a player-related element. So we'll go here first. The club announced the new supporters scarf design. designed by, as you can see there, Kara Sutherland. I like the wavy sort of design element there. You've still got the Ballard Bridge aspect, still got the crest and the bridges, but the wavy element's pretty nice. And then we go over here to March 13th. The club is going to bring back midfielder Cam Martin, the University of Michigan. Martin returns to Ballard after completing his senior season at the University of Michigan. Last summer, Cam ended the USL League 2 season with 5 goals across 12 matches from the midfield, including scoring a hat trick against PDX FC against Portland. That makes it even better. So that will do it for this week's edition of the Futures Follow-Up. We'll have a little bit more structure here. We'll have more graphics, its own little personalized thumbnail every week. And hopefully more news as well, especially with spring training coming to a close. We'll probably get some more of that. We'll get a better idea of rosters. But let me know what you think. Let me know what teams you're tuning in for, or if you're tuning in for all of them, or you just want to support us. I appreciate that as well. So until I see you next week at, I believe it should be the 27th, if I can do it. Yeah, the 27th. Until we see you then, take care of yourselves, be well, and do whatever you can to make today great as day as it possibly can be.